Welcome back to Craft to Crumb's Tech Talks. I'm your host, Joanie Spencer. In this episode, sponsored by Lesaffre, I am speaking with Gideon Butler-Smith, Technical Service Manager for Lesaffre, and we are diving into all the ways this company can support retail bakers in their businesses with Saf Instant. Thank you so much for joining me today, Gideon. It's nice to see you.
Of course, Joni. Anytime you want to meet, I would love to chat.
It's no surprise ingredient suppliers really like to partner with their customers. That's pretty widely known, especially when it comes to product development. But why is it important for Lesaffre to support bakers in terms of scaling and the back of house operations when using products like Saf Instant?
So Saf Instant is our brand name for some of our instant yeast. And that's important to kind of get out of the way because we have a couple of different kinds of instant yeast. So instant yeast that's different than cake or fresh yeast. Those differentiating factors, the main one is the water content and dry matters. The one huge advantage that we always like to talk to retail bakers is just the fact that the granule size, the particle size of our Saf Instant yeast is so fine and free flowing that it makes it easy to scale. And so I'm going to try to do this on camera and see how nice and flowy it is. And it's kind of like the consistency of sand. You can think about it that way. And so it's not that fresh yeast is a really complicated or hard to scale yeast, but I call it there's a barrier of entry or there's friction to scaling it just because it's just that 1 second harder to scale than that. With a spoon, you can take that out and measure it. Where fresh yeast, you have to like crumble it up and you got to pick it apart just fine. And so those couple seconds can really add up. And even just making for a lighter day at work. It's a small ingredient, let's be clear. But like I said, a few seconds can make or break a day, as we all know.
Okay, so I want to talk about how Saf Instant yeast is packaged because you showed us how granular it is and the consistency is like sand, but in the packaging, it's a hard block. And then
Yeah.
when it's opened, then it feels more like a normal bag or a pouch. Why is that? Can you kind of explain that to me?
Yeah. So I also have, I mentioned that we have some different kinds. So this is our Saf Instant Gold label. We're very creative here. We name them as how they look. So that's our gold label. We also have a Saf Red, which the label is red. And we also have a Saf Premium, which it says premium, but that's also technically a red label. So those are the ones you may see on the market. And yeah, they're all very hard, vacuum packed. So our dry yeast, it starts off as fresh yeast. It's all liquid. That's how you create and ferment, cultivate yeast. And then it's sent through a drying process, which one helps protect the yeast vitality, and then that drying process, it evaporates a lot of the moisture out. That dry yeast is then sent into vacuum packaging. That vacuum packaging, why it's so hard to start off with, is for shelf life stability. That's another one of our biggest advantages for our Saf Instant series. This in the package unopened can sit on the shelf at ambient temperature for 2 years. That is a huge advantage compared to fresh yeast that has a 21-day shelf life. Because it's fresh, it has to be refrigerated. So that's another advantage when you start talking to bakeries and maybe even smaller bakeries with not that much of a footprint or square feet to work with. That you have to be selective about which equipment you're going to buy to have in your bakery. Are you going to have a walk-in cooler? And if you don't, then Saf Instant is going to be the yeast of choice. Now, there's also a tip that we recommend our customers if they buy fresh yeast. We all know that bread is alive and has a mind of its own, thanks to yeast, the live organism. And emergencies come up. Maybe the walk-in cooler, maybe the conditioner broke or something. We recommend that bakeries just have a case of whatever Saf Instant yeast you may require or want, and just have it on the shelf for 2 years. And then you're just saving yourself that headache of, oh no, what do I do? Oh, wait, I have that Saf Instant yeast in the back that I can just work with today.
So then from a functional perspective, what are some of the benefits that come with vacuum packaging? I'm kind of thinking things like machinability when bakers are making their products. I mean, not full scale machines, but from a retail baker's standpoint, machinability, how does it help?
So, I mean, a couple of just functional things. We talked about scaling. Another advantage to Saf Instant compared to this one that I have here is our active dry yeast. This active dry yeast, it's packaged the same, it's all vacuum sealed, but that strain and the way that that is processed, you need to rehydrate it. The Saf Instant, it's named Instant, so you can add it straight into your bowl and you're ready to mix. No rehydration necessary. So, I mean, that automatically saves you 5 minutes of dough. Now, machinability, dry yeast, functionally, it has some dead yeast in it. Now, dead yeast, it's not poisonous, it's not dangerous, but it's high in this thing that we call glutathione. That's a sciencey name, but basically it's a reducing agent, which is another sciencey term. Reducing agent just reduces the gluten network. Gluten is viscoelastic. I'm really teaching you today. I'm sorry. But
This is a vocabulary lesson for sure.
yeah, so viscoelastic, there's two properties. There's viscous, so the ability to flow, and elastic, the ability to snap back. And so this reducing agent promotes the viscous property, the ability to flow. So in these Saf Instant and dry yeast, to be clear, the active dry yeast does have this property as well. All of our dry yeast do, but it's very small amount compared to a more concentrated version like some of our ingredients under the brand Relax, Saf Pro Relax. So our Saf Instant line of products have this reducing ability. You're talking about machinability. This is where it comes into play. You may be able to see a reduction in mix time by 30 seconds or a minute on retail breads, whether you're making bollios, whether you're making hamburger buns, hoagies, pizza, baguettes, laminated products like croissants or cinnamon rolls. All of those items are going to benefit from using a Saf Instant product to help reduce it a little bit. Like we've already mentioned, those seconds add up. Even if you cut 15 seconds off of mix time, all of that goes into play of helping the baker at the end of the day.
And that completely makes sense to me. Saving those seconds, you can save time on your scaling and you can save time on your mixing. Those make a big difference when you're making several batches a day. It's no secret. Bakers of every single size are fighting labor shortages. How can Saf Instant give these bakery owners or managers some relief in that area?
I'm glad you think it's obvious. I actually don't think it's obvious. I'm like, why should a fermentation company who makes yeast, who's really good at yeast, be talking about labor? It's a small ingredient in the large scheme of things, but it actually does play into the labor discussion. When it comes to labor in bakeries, there's either a straight shortage where they're running really lean, and or there's just a revolving door. What the yeast, our Saf Instant line of yeast, helps with is that it actually kind of likes a warmer dough. Temperature is a very critical control point in a bakery of any size. And so the fact that our Saf Instant yeast kind of likes the warmer range of final dough temperatures, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 85, that allows the manager or the head baker, the owner, to give a little more tolerance to the new hire. Maybe they just know to do the gluten window test and mix to development, but they're not checking temperature. Our yeast allows that little extra tolerance within that temperature gap. That's a huge win for the baker to know that, hey, whatever the dough kicks out at, it's going to perform. Just that extra little bit of relief for the baker to not worry so much about all the small critical control points, which are important. But again, tolerance, tolerance, tolerance. That is what our yeast is designed for.
So, what is the best way for bakers to get in touch and learn more about how Lesaffre can work with them?
As I am tempted to share my personal phone number with everybody, I'm going to direct you to lesaffrebaking.com. Lesaffre. It's French. Okay. Come on, chat with us. We're ready to help you.
I'm not going to put your phone number on YouTube, but I do hope that the retail bakers of all sizes and types will reach out because you are truly an expert in this field. You're a baker yourself. So thank you so much for taking time.
Appreciate the time. Bakers, it's not always a great baking day, but collectively, we'll all help each other out and make the world a better place.